I caught my wife cheating with her brother's best friend, the shocking betrayal that sparked an unforgettable revenge. I always thought I had a perfect life. My name is Matt, and at 35, I was living what most people would call the American dream. I had a beautiful wife, Emily, whom I met in college. We'd been married for 8 years, and we had 2 amazing kids, Ben and Lily. I had a solid job in marketing, a steady income, and a house that felt like home. We didn't just look perfect on the outside, we genuinely enjoyed each other's company. Or so I thought. I had never been the jealous type. Emily and I trusted each other completely. She was my best friend, and we rarely fought. Our relationship was built on a foundation of mutual respect, love, and shared experiences. The kind of love people envy. But one evening, everything I believed in came crashing down. That night, I would find out just how wrong I was about everything, and it would be a moment that changed the course of my life forever. It started innocently enough. I was on a business trip for work, a routine 3-day seminar in another city. Emily and I kept in touch through text messages and phone calls, just like we always did. She'd tell me about the kids' latest activities, how Ben was doing in school, how Lily had mastered the piano. And of course, the occasional I miss you text, which I'd always reply to with something equally sweet. The night I came back early was supposed to be a surprise for her. I'd missed her, and I was eager to see my family again. I'd called the kids earlier in the day to tell them I was coming home, and they were excited to see me. I couldn't wait to walk through that door and just be a family again. But when I arrived home, things didn't go according to plan. I noticed Emily's car parked in the driveway. It wasn't unusual for her to be home, after all, she was a stay-at-home mom. But as I walked toward the front door, something felt off. Maybe it was the silence in the house, or the fact that the front door was cracked open. It wasn't typical for Emily to leave doors ajar, especially when the kids were away for the weekend. I pushed the door open slowly, expecting to be greeted with the usual warm hugs and kisses from my wife. But what I saw instead would change everything. As I stepped inside, I heard voices from the living room. My heart raced, and I instinctively froze. One of the voices sounded like Emily's, but the other was unfamiliar. I peeked around the corner, and my stomach dropped. There was Emily, sitting on the couch, but she wasn't alone. She was with Jack, her brother's best friend. I've known Jack for years. He'd been in and out of our lives since we were in college. I considered him a good friend, someone who had been to family gatherings, dinners, and barbecues. He was like family to me. But what I saw was nothing like what I'd imagined. Emily was sitting on Jack's lap, their lips locked in an intimate kiss, hands all over each other like they were the only 2 people in the world. I froze. My heart slammed against my chest, and I couldn't breathe. My mind was scrambling, trying to piece together what I was seeing. Was this real? Was this some kind of sick joke? My legs felt weak, and I could barely stand. Jack pulled away from Emily and looked at me, his face paling. Matt. Emily gasped, her eyes wide with shock and guilt. Her hands flew to her face, as though trying to shield herself from the consequences of what had just been exposed. What the hell, Emily? I managed to say, my voice trembling with a mixture of rage and disbelief. How could you do this? With him? Emily stood up, her eyes red with unshed tears. Matt. I'm so sorry, she began, but I couldn't hear her. The words just felt like noise. They didn't matter. I turned to Jack, fury burning in my chest. How could you? We're friends. You're like a brother to me. And you're doing this in my house? Jack opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He looked like a deer caught in headlights. Leave, I said, voice cold and controlled despite the chaos inside me. Both of you. I don't want to see you again. Ever. Emily tried to reach for me, but I backed away. Don't touch me, I spat. I don't want anything from you. I walked out of the house without another word, slamming the door behind me. For the next few days, I stayed at a friend's house. I didn't know what to do with myself. My mind kept replaying that moment over and over. The betrayal was suffocating. I couldn't understand it. I'd loved Emily with everything I had. We had built a life together. We had kids. And now, she had thrown it all away for Jack, a man who I had trusted as a friend. Eventually, Emily started calling me. Her messages were filled with apologies, guilt, and pleas for me to come back home. But I couldn't face her. Not yet. I was too angry, too heartbroken. I didn't know how to even begin processing what had happened. So, I kept my distance. I didn't want to hear her excuses or explanations. Nothing she could say would undo the damage that had been done. I didn't know what hurt more, the fact that she had betrayed me, or that she had done it with someone so close to me. That thought gnawed at me. How could she think this was acceptable? How could Jack, someone I trusted, do this to me? I spoke to a lawyer. I didn't know where this would go, but I knew I needed to protect myself and my kids. I needed to regain control of the situation. The betrayal was one thing, but losing everything in the aftermath was another. I wasn't going to let that happen. Over the next few weeks, Emily tried everything to get me to come back. She sent flowers, left voicemails, and even showed up at my friend's house to apologize in person. But I had made up my mind. She had shattered something inside of me, and I couldn't just ignore it. Then came the shock. Emily admitted to me that the affair with Jack hadn't been a one-time thing. It had been going on for months. The thought of it made my stomach turn. She had been sneaking around, lying to me every day, pretending everything was fine while she betrayed my trust in the worst way possible. I felt like I had been living in a lie. Every moment, every memory I had with her, now felt tainted. One night, I sat alone, thinking about everything. My mind was spinning, but I knew one thing for certain: I wasn't going to let this define me. I couldn't let Emily or Jack win by breaking me. I had to take control of my life again. I filed for divorce. And not just any divorce, I was making sure I came out of this with everything I deserved. The house, the finances, the custody of the kids, it was all going to be mine. I wasn't going to let her walk away with nothing while I was left to pick up the pieces of my broken heart. But I didn't just want to win legally. I wanted to move on. I wanted to heal. Months went by, and slowly, I began to rebuild my life. The divorce was finalized, and I had primary custody of Ben and Lily. They were adjusting, and we were doing better. Emily, on the other hand, seemed lost. She tried to reconcile, but by then, I had already let go. I had no interest in rekindling what was broken. I found therapy. Not to get back with Emily, but to understand myself, to process the pain, and to heal. I began to focus on being the best father I could be. I started working out, I went on a few dates, and I even picked up some new hobbies. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine again. And as for Jack? I never spoke to him again. He tried to reach out, but I blocked his number and erased him from my life completely. I didn't want him around. He had betrayed me in the worst way, and I wasn't about to forgive him. It's been 2 years since that day. My kids are thriving, and I'm in a much better place. I've moved on. The anger has faded, and I've learned to trust again, though not as easily as before. Emily reached out one final time to apologize. I listened, but I didn't need her apology anymore. I had grown past the anger and the pain. I had learned to forgive, but not for her, for myself. Life goes on, and I'm stronger for it. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that betrayal doesn't define who you are. You get to decide how it affects you. You get to decide what comes next. Thanks for sticking around and listening to my story. Betrayal is something we all fear, but it doesn't have to break us. If you've been through something similar, or just want to talk, drop a comment below. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Until next time, stay strong, and take care.